So, a quick message to the voters in the United States. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing a mask, it's not to hide my identity so much as it is that I just had bronchitis. I'm visiting friends. I'm not trying to get anybody else sick that's in this household right now. So I've been wearing this mask around the house. I was surprised today when I actually went online on Facebook and they ended up having one of my friends had posted something about people who you most likely, which candidate do you coincide with? Which one do you agree with the most? And I was surprised. I ended up taking the test. It's about, 15, 20, 30 some questions, and you have a rate of importance on there. And I was surprised that actually Jill Stein popped up. And not just surprised that Jill Stein popped up, but that I agreed with her 92%. So why is this significant and why is this important here? Well, with the current things of mainstream media, when you go in on November 8th and you vote and you cast your ballot, what you're voting for isn't Senator Clinton or Donald Trump. What you are voting for and what you are telling people is you're basically telling the mainstream media, who doesn't give anybody else any more airtime, that they have succeeded in getting you to vote for either of those two candidates. They are absolutely two of the most ridiculous people that could ever be on there. We've had 8 years of Clintonism. Where has that gotten us? And if you don't believe that America is a business, the fact alone of somebody like Donald Trump being able to run for presidency, having put his money up for his campaign, proves that even that office, the office of the presidency, is up for sale if you have enough money. But the vote that you will cast when you vote for either of those two candidates is going to be the fact that the media has won you over. The majority of you are voting for one because of the dislike and great mistrust of the other. So again, picking the lesser of two evils. What's amazing to me is that people in this country will still continue to go, and a lot of people are voting also for Trump because of the distrust of the media. When he comes out there, and it's been proven, people that were Bernie supporters, and Bernie had great ideas, I do believe, whether he would have been able to put them into practice or they were practical is another thing, but he had great ideas to start with. For somebody like Bernie to get kicked out of the primary and for the emails to be released on WikiLeaks and for you to still be able to be in support of either candidate, but especially this woman during that time, for you to be able today to watch the news and be able to say, well, yeah, I'm watching the news, and they're saying right afterwards, right after the first and second presidential debates, they have a panel of experts, those little talking heads, those vidiots, because that's what they are. And all those people that are sitting there, essentially, have already made up their mind. Everything has been written, all the research has been done, and they sit there sounding ultra white, talking about the fact, well, I think in this debate, actually, Donald really didn't make that much of an impact. He probably still keeps his voters, but Senator Clinton came out and she looked, or Secretary Clinton rather, came out and she looked very confident and she was poised and she glistened and all this other sort of crap that they say. Why are we as high school students smarter than we are later on in life as registered voters? In high school, if you were given a test, if your teacher came to you, your instructor came to you and gave you a test, and on that test there were 60% of the questions that you had never been exposed to, never seen before, I would like to think at least one student out of 20 or 25 in the class would get up and raise his hand and say, this test is not fair, I am not prepared to answer these questions, I've never been exposed to these questions before. But yet you will go and stand in line and put tags up in your front lawn and put bumper stickers on your car and talk to other people about one of two candidates, even though there might be the other 60% that you've never seen, heard of, and know nothing about. And you feel confident doing this, understanding that you are going to put them in power for the next 4 years. And historically in America, I do believe, when there's been a candidate during a time of war, which we've been in one for the last 15, 16 years unofficially, but that's what we've been at, they will always do a second term. If you think that you are only voting for one term right now, you are actually voting for two. So when you put Clinton into office, she's going to be there for 8 years. You can mark my words on it. There's nobody that would beat her out of there. That's just the way of things. Once you get in that position of power, you are very unlikely to be able to give that up. But that's the amazing thing to me, is just the incomplete thought that comes in with viewership. Roughly 3 weeks ago to a month ago, President Obama had made a speech. Now, I'm not here to criticize Obama. I wanted to like him when he was elected. Whether I like him now is actually irrelevant. But during the speech, he ended up saying that the reason that the United States had to physically send over the $400 million to Iran is because we don't have banking relations with that country. So here's a radical country in the Middle East, oftentimes that says death to America, and we give them $400 million and have to fly it over there because we are unable to give the money even via wire transfer if we wanted to. Now the opposite side to that, and you have to think for a minute here, is how in the hell, as a citizen, as a taxpayer of the United States, am I supposed to believe that any of you can stop Al-Qaeda or ISIS or stop any funding that's going in between one terrorist country to another or one terrorist network to another when you can't even by your own accord give somebody $400 million without personally flying it over there? So you want me to believe that basically you're going to handle Al-Qaeda, you're going to dismantle ISIS, you're going to take away the funding, but you can't even give somebody $400 million. What I'm sick of here, and what I'm disgusted with here, and I hope you should be also, and what I'm infuriated with here, is when I went to broadcasting school, there was always the 5 W's, the who, what, where, when, and why that had to be answered with every question. There was independent thought that was there. And I'm sad to say that it seemed like every reporter that was at that presidential debate was just standing in line to suck on his dick next. That's what they were there for. There were no hard questions. All the questions had been given to the media. It was read just as it should be from question 1 through 10. Nobody fought to get a question in because they damn well knew who was next. You raise your hand, oh, Mr. this person, Mr. that person, Mr. that person. Oh yeah, you can suck my dick next. Oh yeah, you can deep throat me next. Sure. No independent thought whatsoever. The second part of that speech that was also infuriating was the fact that Obama in one breath, President Obama in one breath, says with either candidates, or actually with both candidates, both have to be briefed. So if either one gets elected, they're not going to, when they assume the office of the presidency, neither one is going to start out cold and from the bottom. So both of them apparently are going through security briefings and meeting other people that CIA directors, FBI directors, military commanders, and so on and so forth, and being briefed. So when they step into this position, they will actually be as prepared as they can be. They're not going to walk in cold like you would a meeting of 30 people and you don't even know what you're talking about until 10 seconds before you get up to the podium. How am I supposed to believe that you are setting America up, forget about the candidacy, that you are setting America up for success, when in one breath you say, I don't think Donald Trump is the right person for the job, I don't think he's going to win, but personally I'm going to give him security briefings just like Secretary Clinton, so he's as prepared as everybody else. You're not. You're setting us up for failure. And this is just one thing that I want the American public to think about when they go and vote. It's not that you're throwing your vote away, because quite honestly, you could be a registered voter, and you are telling them that both of them are dipshits by not going and voting. Those numbers are there. Here's registered voters, here's people that went and registered, here's people that went and signed up that actually thought so little of both of you that they didn't want to go and waste their time in line for either of you. But how infuriating again that I was surprised, and by the way, I will put a link right under this video so you can take this test yourself to find out which candidate you actually coincide in. And there's actually probably 60 or 70 people running for president that we don't know about. But in all fairness, shouldn't we at least know about the top 5 or 6? Shouldn't we at least know about the other options? Shouldn't there be a better option of voting for one without hating the other? I mean, it's almost like the wrestling WWE mentality. This guy hit another wrestler I like, so I'm going to hate him, and because I hate him and this guy hates him, I'm going to end up liking him. And that is the current status of American viewership, American media, how we've been set up with things. And when we sit around and we wonder why a lot of other countries laugh at us, rightfully so, they should. Because we shouldn't be this easily manipulated. Once again, when you go vote November 8th, whether you vote for Clinton or Trump, your 100% vote for either candidate has nothing to do with who ends up in the office of the presidency, because every election could be rigged. We've seen it happen before. But what you are voting for is you are telling the top 6 people that own the media in this country that they are doing well enough to manipulate us. They have done well enough to manipulate us. We no longer have the independent thought or ability to make our decisions. And that we're not fed up enough to do anything about it yet. We're not fed up enough to do anything about it yet. I'd like to think that we've been beaten down enough. However, if I look at the behavior of people, I'm sad to say that it doesn't seem that we have. Because if we had, that's when revolutions happen. That's when people forget about who's black, who's white, who's Latino, who's our other things. And the only time that this country has been able to unite in the past 16 years is when the World Trade Center came down. And all of a sudden, for maybe about 2 to 3 weeks, people forgot what race they were, what minority they were, and we were actually looked at as Americans because there was a clearly defined opposition group in another country that we felt we had to unite to go against. That lasted for a couple months, that level of camaraderie, that level of patriotism, and then St. Patrick's Day came around and everybody wanted to drink green shitty beer, and we forgot.